What's going on, my trainer club? Today we're going to look at my Ultra League PvP Go Battle League team in Pokemon Go to see if it is something that you may be able to learn from, or it may be something that you can incorporate to what you're doing. So welcome to the trainer club. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Let me know in the comments below, how are you doing in the Ultra League in Go Battle League? From what I have heard, it is one of the more challenging leagues for most people. So for us, I wanted to do two things. Number one, today we're going to check out my video that's going to include my team, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about the lead Pokemon and why it's so important, and to show like how switching and everything like that can help you win with this team that I'm using right here. Two different scenarios. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to my Discord crew for holding it down. We are going to have a PvP Go Battle League tournament. We have things that go on in there, such as contests, such as a bunch of different chat rooms for you guys to show off all your stuff. And then I also participate in the chat, so if you want more direct access to me, I do pop in from time to time. So make sure to check my pinned comments below and get into my Discord. So now we are going to get into the video checking out my Ultra League team in PvP. Let's do it. It's now time to get into my Ultra League team for the Go Battle League. So Ultra League is definitely probably one of the more challenging leagues in my opinion, because what happens in the Ultra League is it's like this middle ground between the like low Go Battle League great leagues and then the high Master League where we're using legendaries. So it's kind of this like hybrid of legendaries and non-legendaries. So I think that's probably why most people have troubles, because in the Great League, it's like very obvious that most of the time they're typically not legendaries. Granted, you can do like Regis and stuff like that, but most of the time it's better to have those Pokemon. And then in the Ultra League, it's kind of like this hybrid thing. And then the Master League, you know, it's pretty much predominated by the legendaries and the pseudo legendaries, which are basically like Pokemon that are not legendaries with legendary stats. So we're gonna get into my team right now. So number one Pokemon that I'm using, pretty common Pokemon, is gonna be the Giratina altered form. The reason why I use this Pokemon is because it's just so tanky. So it really meshes up well with my team, and I wasn't using it for a while. However, I was really getting hit with not having like a tanky enough Pokemon, because even though this Pokemon does have weaknesses, it has the amazing ability to be able to absorb those weaknesses. So its weaknesses are going to be Ice, Ghost, Fairy, Dragon, and Dark. So none of them are going to be double weaknesses. The second Pokemon that I'm going to be using is actually a maxed out Shift Tree. I'm working on buddy boosting it up. I have mentioned it in a couple of my videos. The reason why I do it is because a lot of people are running Swampert, and this Leaf Blade is absolutely dominant when you go against a Swampert. It'll definitely one-hit KO any type of Swampert out there for sure. And then it also gets the Dark moves. So for anybody with the Giratina altered forms, it's going to be able to handle that. You got to look out for the Bug, which is double weak to, and then Fire, especially, it's also weak to fighting. And then the final Pokemon that I'm going to use is going to be the Registeel. The reason why I'm using the Registeel is number one, because I have a Shundo that's a lucky trade. So I just got it to the buddy boost. So now it's going to be level 41 at, I believe it's 2478, not in this video, but in future videos it will be. And then it's only going to have 3 weaknesses, which are going to include fighting, fire, and ground. So it can be pretty vulnerable in some of those scenarios, especially against Blast Burn, but it does handle some of these things well. But one quick mention, I just wanted to let you guys know, number one, get used to your team. Find a team that's like tanky enough, that can absorb hits, that's not super vulnerable to like a lot of things. Like my last team was super vulnerable to Swampert. I'll share it with you guys. It was going to be Blaziken, then it was going to be Alolan Muck, and Registeel. And that team, like, when a Swampert came out, I was basically done because almost everything was weak to ground. So that was not working out for me, so I had to switch it up. But this team, a little bit more tanky. I'm definitely getting 3 and 4 wins pretty consistently with this team. And be cautious out there. You may see some videos that's like, I went 5-0 with this team, and then you'll try it out and it'll suck. Number one, team probably doesn't suck. You're just probably not used to which Pokemon you're going to use in which scenarios, which I'm going to try to lay down here for my team. And then you also want to make sure that when you're with that team, it's also like very lead dependent too. Like you could be a really good battler, and if you just have weaknesses to somebody's counter team, it's okay. So let's get into the battles right now. Starting off, guys, we have Giratina going against the Poliwrath. So I'm pretty cool with this matchup. I do know that it does get Ice Punch. However, the Ice Punch is not like the most insanely strong thing. So I'm not going to choose to shield here right now. The key thing for me is because I do have the Shift Tree, I need to conserve my shields as much as possible. So I'm going to be going after this Poliwrath with just Dragon Breaths. Fortunately, the Ancient Power did get debuffed, but if you do get the buff with the Ancient Power, it's pretty effective. So I am just using the Dragon Breath to sheerly just start tanking this Pokemon down. You notice, like, I haven't shielded anything right now, and then I'm gonna throw a Dragon Breath, and I'm still doing just about equal damage to this Poliwrath. So that is pretty effective, and the Poliwrath decides to shield right there, which is kind of indicating to me like I do want to keep this Giratina alive. Like Giratina in this scenario, since both of my other Pokemon are weak to fire, I want to have this Pokemon ready for any type of fire type Pokemon to be able to absorb that type of impact from those counters. So there it goes, going down, and now we have the Venusaur coming out. And Venusaur is, I could have got a Dragon Breath out there. Sometimes I'm getting caught up trying to charge a little bit too much. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the Registeel. Registeel is gonna be pretty good. I have not been very good about letting the countdown timers on the bottom go down. The one thing I want to mention to you guys is if you switch, that 10 seconds in between when your Pokemon dies out when you can select will count towards the switch advantage coming back, right? So you want to have that switch button available. And oftentimes, like, I'll get really excited and I'll jump right into my other Pokemon if I know I have another counter. And then I will realize later that, oh my gosh, what I should have done is waited for that 10 seconds, because jumping into the new Pokemon, although I didn't switch, if I switched less than a minute earlier, I'll be stuck on that Pokemon. And if they decide to switch then it'll take a little bit more time to get there. So make sure to wait on that 10-second timer always, unless you have something that's like already charged up and you haven't switched, right? So that's why I died out with that Giratina altered form, so that I could still have my switch available depending on what Pokemon I'm bringing in. And since I'm using the Registeel, I do know that if somebody brings in a Charizard, it's gonna be probably in my best interest to either try to take it or switch it, which would be really vulnerable to my team, my remaining team right now, since my Giratina went down. So they decide and opt not to switch, which means that maybe their next Pokemon is going to be weak to the Registeel. And they also don't know what my other Pokemon is either. So I am just gonna go ahead and throw this here, and it's pretty effective. This is kind of like when I get into these scenarios where it's not super dependent on like using a counter move. This is where getting used to your team is. And since I feel like I was in a pretty powerful spot, which Frenzy Plant is not doing too much damage, I went ahead and I threw one special to see how much damage it did on the Venusaur. I do this often, especially when I'm in the lead and maybe I'll be a shield or two up and I know I'm gonna win, like for sure, like I can't even mess it up. I'll throw a different move just to see how much damage it'll do on that Pokemon and then compare it between. But that did a decent amount of damage right there. And then I'm obviously not gonna shield again. And my goal here is basically to overcharge my Registeel, which is a very, very powerful tactic. And my goal is to try to kill this Venusaur with just the lock-on move, because it does such a sliver of damage, but I did not want to get hit with the Frenzy Plant as well. And then they decide to let the Venusaur down, which was a smart move. And then we have the Giratina, and the reason why I'm overcharging on this particular one is because the Giratina still has a shield. And so I want to, there's the attack that lands. My other goal here is to save my shield, because I have a Shift Tree. And Shift Tree, although it's going to be very powerful in this scenario, it can also be a little vulnerable with its shield potential, because it's more of an attack heavy Pokemon. So I'm charging up right here, I'm getting ready to go, and I wanted to get that last shield. That last shield was the golden ticket for me. And now I'm basically just sticking in here, and my intent right there was that they were going to blow all of their energy, and then I'm going to be able to switch right into the Shift Tree. And so although there is an attack, I did want to see how much damage whatever it was going to do to me, which was nothing. So Ancient Power did not do it, but fortunately for them, they got the boost, right? But they've already blown their shield, and I have a Dark Stab type moveset coming in here. So although it's not going to kill it right here, I can then go for the Leaf Blade if I want. But now that it did get the boost, I now have the shield in my back pocket, which was pretty smart of me since it did end up getting the boost. So now I can go ahead and use the Dark Pulse, and I can go ahead and take this down for match number 1. So that was basically just like a pretty good play. That was a pretty even, relatively even matchup, right? Because that Poliwrath could have easily done a ton of damage on that Shift Tree, but I led with the altered form because although it does have 5 weaknesses, it is pretty tanky against those weaknesses, and unless it's a Blizzard from an Ice type Pokemon, it's definitely not going to take me all the way out with most of those moves. And getting into battle number 2. So here we go, battle number 2. We have our Giratina, and then we have a Snorlax. So I'm relatively okay with this battle. However, I always think in the back of my mind, if they're happening to run a fire Pokemon, I really need to conserve this. So I go ahead and switch and put a little bit of pressure on the Snorlax. The reason why I did switch is I do want to try to get them to switch to see what their other teams are, and I know I'm pretty tanky here. And then also we have Focus Blast on this Registeel, and plus Snorlax does get Lick, and a lot of people run Lick, so it can be very detrimental over time. One thing that you do have to be cautious about with the Snorlax is it also gets Earthquake, which can do a tremendous amount of damage here to this Pokemon, but it will take a little bit of while to charge up. So if I see it running Pokemon really quick, I definitely go ahead and use this. And so now the Alolan Muck comes out. Unfortunately, I went ahead and I threw the Flash Cannon, but I also would have loved to have done the Focus Blast. So I'm gonna go ahead and opt not to shield here because it has Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is one of those moves that's like, it's really powerful. So I wanna see what Focus Blast does to the Muck. So we're gonna go ahead and check this out right here. So this is a great scenario where I can test it, and boom, it takes it out. So I feel pretty confident right now, and I'm ready to go. However, I don't shield this Body Slam, which I definitely could have. They still have one shield left. I wanted to save a shield for these other Pokemon, right? Because think, I always have the Shift Tree, which is very, very weak. I go ahead and let that timer run out, and then I bring in the Shift Tree because I know that the Dark Pulse does some neutral damage, and since they're running Body Slam, it's definitely going to be effective. Normal type, you know, it's not going to resist, but it's also going to be like just kind of neutral, but it does a decent amount of damage. So they go ahead and shield with that last shield, and so I am going to head and hit with this Dark Pulse. I did not want to take another Body Slam on the Shift Tree, and then boom, it goes down right there. And then the last Pokemon is unfortunately going to be a Togekiss, which absolutely eats this Shift Tree alive, and now it's going to eat my Giratina because I do not have a shield. So everything that I can possibly do right here, and since the Ancient Power did get buffed down, they had a really solid backdoor Pokemon that took me down, and even though I got a boost, I was not able to take this Pokemon out, and maybe it just wasn't my day. This was not my match, but right there was a great time of how I thought I played pretty well, but they had a really good back pocket Pokemon that was able to come through and take me out. So that's gonna be a loss to me, relatively close. I was about one special away, but man, does that charm hit very hard. And then on to our third battle. So we have Giratina again, and then we are going to have the Typhlosion. Typhlosion is a humongous threat to my entire team. Fortunately, I do have Ancient Power on this, which is going to be weak to, and fortunately, the Giratina Altered Form does not take a ton of damage from Fire-type Pokemon. Like, this Blast Burn would pretty much one-hit KO, but it's a very, very powerful move, guys. Like, Blast Burn is powerful. Any of these moves are powerful, even when they're not effective or they're neutral, and he chose not to shield, and I got the boost, which was very, very positive for me. The other thing you do have to worry about when you are seeing this Typhlosion is it does get Shadow Claw. So Shadow Claw is positive against the Giratina, but it's gonna be negative if it's gonna be used against like the Registeel or any of the Pokemon that would normally be weak to fire type moves, because you're not gonna be getting that bonus to go against these Pokemon. And then I see a Snorlax come in. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna throw a Dragon Claw. And since I have the boost right now, like my goal is just to stay in as much as possible. I don't wanna go out because I don't wanna lose this boost so much that I'm willing to shield against whatever move it's gonna throw at me, which is a Body Slam. I don't know exactly how much damage it would do, but like I said, man, like look at that Dragon Breath just chew this thing to pieces. Anytime I get a boost on the Giratina, I am just like all in for this Giratina. Look at this, it is crazy, but I'm ready to let it go right here. Like, this time for the Giratina to take a nap. And look, it didn't do anything, and then it takes out the Snorlax. This is why having a really tanky Pokemon is what I was missing on my other team. And this isn't even an optimized one yet. Like, I don't have a good one. This one is not optimized at all, but I am just into this. Look at this Pokemon just eat these Pokemon alive. And then I can go ahead and I can bring in the Registeel because I know that it doesn't take any super boosted damage from the Frenzy Plant, and I can go ahead and clear this out. I'm not even gonna use the shield, but on this one, I'm gonna go ahead and charge all the way up, and I'm gonna try out the Focus Blast right here. This is a scenario. I know I'm gonna win. I have a shield. Like, Frenzy Plants, like, sure, it can get me down, but I still have another Pokemon in the background. I wanna see how much the Focus Blast is gonna do on this. So it doesn't do a ton of damage, so I do know going forward that I'm gonna use Flash Cannon on the Venusaur every time. And I'm not even going to shield this right here. I want to see how much damage it does again. And look at this, like I am pretty much golden right here. I know that this Flash Cannon is going to probably do about a little over a third of the health of the Venusaur, which is going to take it out, leaving me with the shield and a completely untouched Shift Tree. So that's going to do it, guys. The key takeaways are going to be to master your team, know what your team is going to be good against and not good against. I know that fire is a humongous threat to my team, as well as fighting. So fighting, because 2 of my 3 Pokemon are going to be weak to it. That's why sometimes you may see me switch out with the Giratina in the beginning if it's like a Pokemon that I'm like, I know I'm confident I can handle, because I want that Giratina to be able to go up against any type of fighting Pokemon and any type of fire Pokemon and any type of ground Pokemon. That is where I'm gonna pull, unless I have the ground Pokemon when it's stuck into a swap, because then I can go ahead and pull in my Shift Tree. If I have a shield, I can go ahead and handle it, as long as it doesn't have like full double shields, because even then I'll blow both of its shields, and 1 hit from that Leaf Blade, like I said, will KO a Swampert out. So I hope this helped, guys. Let me know in the comments below how you guys are doing on their teams, what your team setups are, or any of the challenges that you guys have below. I thank you to all my likers, commenters, subscribers, Patreon members, Discord members, everybody who takes their subscription, support, and participation to the next level. I'm gonna see you guys out on the next video. Peace! I just want to take a moment and sincerely thank all of my Patreon members, everybody that has taken their subscription to the next level and chosen to support me on this platform. I greatly appreciate you guys. As a growing channel and really trying to grow and improve as much as I possibly can, I really appreciate the extra support. You guys mean the absolute world to me. I cannot wait to connect with you soon, and I appreciate you guys all for being a part of the Trainer Club. I will see you guys out on the next video.